Hello, this is Bob back again on a Tuesday, October 8th, 2019. Today I'm going to be talking about downloading and installing XAMPP and also Notepad++. XAMPP will allow you to develop and run PHP and also JSP applications with MySQL support locally on your local computer. Also going to download Notepad++ on Windows because you need an editor, and the Notepad that's built in with Windows is a terrible editor. So we're going to be downloading Notepad++ as well. After downloading and installing it, I'll show you how to start it and to write your first basic PHP and also JSP or Java server pages. I have a link here to give you some information on file locations and how to access um, the local server. We'll get to that later. Okay, you'll also be able to watch it on YouTube later on. And in addition to PHP or JSP and MySQL, in order to develop web applications, you'll have to learn some basic HTML. You really will also eventually need to learn CSS and JavaScript. I plan on doing tutorials on all that. In fact, I've already got an intro to HTML already posted. The next week, I will be covering how to install on the Mac and also Ubuntu Linux. Some future topics will include PHP, MySQL, PHP and MySQL combined together, and the same thing for JSP and MySQL. Also, like I said, you will have to learn some HTML for web apps. Alright, so let's get started and let's download XAMPP. Click on that link, and we're going to go to the latest one, which is download 64 XAMPP for Windows. You can get it for the Linux as well, and for the Mac, and in future lectures I will cover that. Alright, so we're downloading it right there. Now you double click on it once it's done downloading, and it'll come up. Alright. Yes, continue with that. If you get these, that's just my antiviral. So I'm going to go through. Now here it shows you what it's going to install. Apache, which will run a local web server and will also execute PHP. MySQL database. You can also do a local FTP server and mail server if you want. I'm not going to get into that. Tomcat is for Java server pages. And Perl is another language. It's a great language that I used in the 90s. My first web applications I developed with Perl. It's actually got a lot of similarities with PHP. Now it's going to install it in this directory here on your C drive, XAMPP. We'll look at that later. Okay, and we'll go ahead and we will install. Now this opens up in this browser just to give you some more information. But we just want to continue with the install. And this will take a bit of a while. And then once it's done, we will look at it. And we're done with that. Done with that. And again, I got that link from the website here, which you can find. It's on my website, appjedi.net. I'll follow the links to it. YouTube, XAMPP.html. Contact information for me on Facebook, appjedi.net. YouTube, search AppJedi or go to my channel and subscribe, because there's going to be a lot of lectures coming in the future. The reason I'm doing this is I have over 20 years experience in web development experience, and including 10 years teaching at local colleges in the San Francisco Bay Area. A lot of people, beginners on Facebook, kept on asking the same beginner questions. And so instead of trying to respond to all of them, because it's quite a bit, I decided to create some videos and upload them to YouTube. And this is just the beginning of the series of tutorials I will be doing on a large number of subjects. I will show you later on. I have a you can go to the main website, appjedi.net, and get some more information on me. It's Bob on YouTube. Okay, so this is the introduction to me on YouTube, and all the things that I plan on writing tutorials on. It's a full list there. There is also, you can see my introduction on YouTube. From here you can click on it, or you go to my channel, you'll see it there as well. Okay, we're almost done with this installation. But yes, I'll be covering a lot of topics for those interested in web development. We'll be doing the full front end and back end, including HTML, CSS, JavaScript, a lot of associated JavaScript libraries, what's known as the LAMP stack, which is Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP. Also Java, you can do a lot of the stuff in Java too, again to some advanced topics like the Spring Framework and Hibernate, and databases too, like MySQL. Okay, so this is done. Save. Okay, now what happens is this is going to bring up the control panel for XAMPP. Now we can start Apache. That's what will let you to run the PHP. Now we're going to also have to download Notepad++, and we will see if I go to here and I just type in, now that it's up and running, I can just type localhost, and this is going to bring up the default web page. Localhost means it's running on your local computer, your desktop, your laptop, whether it's Mac, Linux, Windows, it doesn't matter. It's running on the local computer. So the next thing we need to do is to download Notepad++. Click on that link. And we'll just take the latest one and download it. This installation goes a lot faster. Okay, yes. English, so forth. Agree. Yes. Yes. Finish. Okay, and it opens for us nicely, which is great, because that's very convenient, because we're going to use it right now. So now we're going to go over to our XAMPP notes. And this is important because this shows us a couple of things. One, you'll see HTTP localhost test. Now, test does not exist yet. We're going to create test, which will be your sample PHP program. So if I go to test here, it says, oops, object not found. So what we need to do is create that. All the files for XAMPP docs will be here for PHP. So you can just copy and paste that if you want. And you can go down to the Windows search, paste it in there, and it'll bring it right up. So right now you see dashboard, right? That's where we are at. That is where we are at right now. Actually, get rid of that. Okay, that brings up dashboard. You saw test didn't work. So we're going to create test. The way you create a local project folder for some websites, you just create a directory using Windows, calling it test. I'm going to go in here, and we go here. I want test, right? Still doesn't exist because there's nothing there. So we're going to create it now. We're going to create file new by clicking that little plus sign at the top, and we're going to have to save it. But first of all, very simple, PHP. We're going to create just a simple document that's just HTML. Nothing fancy to it. Head, hello world. And we can have a title too. Hello world. And the body. This is HTML. If you don't know HTML, I had the intro to HTML class. And now for this here, very simply, hello world. All the same. And I go into detail exactly what all these tags mean in my intro class. Okay, so now it wants me to save it. We need to save this in that directory where I showed you. So work your way through the Explorer, XAMPP, and then HET docs. There's my test. Now all default web sites have a default file to store that'll go to automatically, and the default one for Apache, actually all web servers, is index. Now, in the case of simple HTML, it's index.html. So we just saved that. Now, if I go back here and I click refresh, voila, it says hello world. Okay, that's what we wanted. Now, that's just straight HTML. It's not PHP. I'll give you a very simple example of how HTML would work. That shouldn't be there. We're going to save this again. I'm going to do a save as, index again, but this time it's going to be PHP. Okay, see PHP. And we're going to change this a little to show you how it works. PHP is a scripting language that runs on the server. And you have to tell it to use PHP. And the way you do it is with these tags here, less than sign, dollar sign PHP, and then you close the scripting area with that. Now you have to use a PHP command to print this out. There's a couple of ways of doing it. There's echo, there's print, to print something out. So now we just saved it, and now let's say hello world from PHP. Save that, go back over to the browser, ta-da, hello world from PHP. So we've got our two. If we look into the directory here, we have the HTML that we did before and the PHP version. And now that is your first PHP program stored in your local XAMPP or Apache server. The next part of this we're going to do is we're just going to show you to do the same thing but using Java server pages. Most people, especially beginners, generally prefer PHP, but Java is very popular as well. And since you get it with XAMPP as well, I thought I would just show it to you anyway. So now we have to go over to our XAMPP server, which is, where is it at? It's not running. There we go, XAMPP. We have to start Tomcat as well. You'll also see MySQL here. I will be teaching classes on MySQL and how to use MySQL with both PHP and Tomcat. So right now, okay, Tomcat just started. So now we're going to do, if we come back over to the notes here, we see that for JSP, the files are actually stored in a separate directory still under XAMPP, but instead of htdocs, it's Tomcat. So let's just go here. All right, okay, Tomcat. And it's got to be, furthermore, it's got to be web apps. Okay, so we need to add that. It's actually also web apps. Now, let's go and let's save this one. And we're going to convert it. Okay, go back. Let's go back one more. Go back to XAMPP. And scroll down and look for Tomcat and web apps. It's got to be in web apps. And we're going to have to create a directory here. Let's see, how do I create a directory? Here we go, directory. Create a directory and test again. We're going to call it test. And this is going to be index, and we're going to change this to JSP. JavaScript, source file. Java service page. There we go. Java server page. Save that. Now, go over to our notes here to cheat. Okay, it is there. Tomcat Web Apps. I did put it there. This time it has to use what they call a different port. You can't have both Apache and Tomcat running on the same port because they have to have their own port that they can listen on. Now the other thing is we called the other one PHP. I'm just going to rename this a little, called JSP. Hello from JSP. And we're going to go back to here. This is hello world. Still says hello from PHP. I'm going to open a new window and go localhost. Now I have to put the port 8080 here, test. And we got something that doesn't look right. What? Oh, okay. I got to change this. Sorry about that. This is %, and it's not echo. You got to use some Java commands. System.out.println Okay, save that. Come back over here, and it's didn't give us anything. Okay. Uh, why didn't it give us anything? Hmm. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. This should be just out.println, not system.out.println. Okay. Let's get rid of that. Sorry about that. Hey, hello world from JSP. And if we go back here, that's from PHP. So now we're running our server here is running both Tomcat and MySQL and Apache. So you've got both with this here. Um, Now, just to recap, you'll have to download XAMPP and Notepad or an editor of your choice. You can pick any editor you want. Eventually, you're going to want to learn what they call an integrated development environment like NetBeans or Eclipse. That's it for today. That should get you started on getting your local Apache environment going with PHP, JSP, and MySQL, and start working on your first one. We will build on this later on. Like I said, I will be doing full tutorials on developing in MySQL and PHP, also JSP, also the front end, which is HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and libraries. So that's it for today. Leave your comments below and subscribe if you like this channel. There'll be more tutorials coming. Thank you. Bye.